Secretary of Defense James Mattis arrived in Brasilia, Brazil, last night on his first diplomatic visit to South America. Brazil and the U.S. are the Western Hemisphere's two largest democracies. Mattis says the U.S. is working to expand partnerships where it's mutually beneficial. Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby reports from the Pentagon. Good evening, Wyatt.
Good evening, Lauren. Secretary Mattis' tour of South America comes as the region is dealing with political and diplomatic upheaval. The Pentagon is concerned this could have a wider destabilizing effect, which is why security will be Mattis' top priority. The Pentagon chief arriving in Brazil for the start of a week-long diplomatic tour focused on mutual security threats. Brazil is the first of 4 stops. There, Mattis is meeting military and national security counterparts. Brazil's health ministry has launched a nationwide vaccination campaign to protect children from measles and polio. This after a measles outbreak in the north, where thousands of Venezuelan refugees are crossing the border to flee their country's economic and political crisis. Many Venezuelans are sick and haven't been immunized due to a failing health system. Mattis' second stop is Argentina. It will be the first visit by an American defense secretary since 2005. Pro-lifers in the majority Catholic country have been celebrating since Thursday, when their Senate rejected a bill that would have allowed elective abortion in the first 14 weeks of pregnancy. His next stop, Chile. There, Chilean prosecutors have expanded their investigation into alleged abuse by Catholic clergy members. Pope Francis earlier this year publicly denounced a culture of abuse and cover-up and has accepted the resignation of some Chilean bishops. Mattis' final stop is Colombia. There, he'll visit with administration officials of the newly elected Colombian president, Iván Duque.
Una nueva generación motivada por el servicio y no por el ejercicio vanidoso del poder.
The 42-year-old Washington, D.C. educated lawmaker is the youngest person to be elected to the country's presidency. Venezuelan refugees are likely to be the focus. Just like in Brazil, tens of thousands of Venezuelans have fled across the border, with more coming every day. The Trump administration says Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and his socialist government is to blame for the humanitarian crisis. Over the weekend, Maduro said he would allow FBI officials to come to Venezuela and investigate a failed attack on his life. This, even though Venezuelan authorities allege that the perpetrators of the attack were trained in Colombia and that some were being harbored in Florida. The other big topic Mattis will be talking about at each of his stops is security concerns of Nicaragua. Now, thousands of Nicaraguans continue to flee their country since a crackdown on protests by President Daniel Ortega. The current unrest began in April when Ortega imposed cuts to social security system, and small protests by senior citizens began, and they were actually violently broken up. Lauren?
Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby reporting from the Pentagon. Thank you, Wyatt.